So thank you so much for joining us here at Lovely Being You, where you have to love yourself. Now, years ago, I worked at this mental health facility, and at this facility, I used to have to promote the group meetings. And outside of group meetings, during the period of time they had scheduled their cigarette breaks, I had to make sure that I was very certain on that time and emphasize it by implementing it as well. And you would think that some of these things are not really such a big deal. They are a big deal to the individuals who are on a schedule, who have to stay at a facility where they're not in their own home environment. There's certain rules that have to be exercised. So I'd have group, and everyone would be able to participate and say exactly how they got there and why it is that they made the choices that they made that landed them there. And it was important that each person have their own point in time to speak. Everyone had a certain amount of time to speak. And if you knew that that cigarette break was coming up, you might not want to even promote such a meeting at that hour. It all depended, like I said, on that schedule, being prompt. And I learned a lot in regards to time management as well, because knowing that we have a certain schedule to keep, certain things you won't even bring up. But it was important that I did this. So during these meetings, it was only me. And again, I didn't seem to need training to take on such a position. So, of course, they hired me. I did the job. And I noticed that sometimes there was an issue with coworkers. My biggest problem was really my coworkers. They thought that I was having too much fun at times, or they felt like I didn't include them. But if you're not on this time schedule, how can I include you? And if you did not come into the meeting and the door was already locked on time when everyone needed to be in the meeting, then of course my supervisor said, do not unlock the door, continue the meeting. If that person needs to come in, come to the supervisor's office. But they didn't want to come to the supervisor's office because that would mean that they would have to be telling on themselves in regards to having to get into that room. You should have been there at that specific time. Again, my problem was more so with coworkers. So, of course, at the end of the month, we had to have this meeting with our boss, our superior. And the superior said that there were coworkers that were disappointed in me not including them. Now, we're here for the client. And as I said, my supervisor specifically said, the door has to be locked because we don't want them coming in and out. They ought to know what time their cigarette breaks are. If your colleagues don't understand the rules, have them come to me. Again, the door was locked. We were already in the meeting, and everyone was basically speaking their piece. If you interrupt another individual to go to that door, sometimes you had behaviors. And knowing I was the new kid on the block, but I was trying to stick to the rules. It's important that we realize that when we are taking on the responsibility of different jobs, again, that we keep in mind that safety is one of the first rules. You don't want behaviors, and you want to make sure that you are respectfully treating these individuals the same way that you would like to be treated. Don't take on the job that you don't either feel like you're going to appreciate, or even, it's a learning experience, but it's still a job at the end of the day. And mental health is a very serious thing in our world, not just our country, in our world. So knowing that these different behaviors can change and there's a tendency to have an outburst or even safety issues being broken, we have to make sure that we're making the best choice possible. So with this job, I realized that there was certain ongoing problems with people not respecting the rules, and sometimes people will more than likely throw you under the bridge. So at the end of the day, if you're going to be resourceful, if you're going to be helpful, if you're going to like what it is that you're doing, now I'll be honest with you, I had so much fun at this job, and it was more so because of the different personalities. It was because even at mealtime, when they had their structure, there were certain individuals who didn't like the food or whatever, they spoke their piece. But at the end of the day, like I said, they were all very respectful. The behaviors came upon the environment once the rules were broken, whether it be staff members or the clients. It's important, again, that we take on a job that we know that we're going to be helpful, that we're going to be responsible for doing our job, that we're going to be loving and compassionate as well as treating others the way we want to be treated. So let us keep that in mind, because a lot of us are applying for different jobs, and when you're providing a service to another individual, you are also on someone else's time. So let's keep that in mind with time management and with being resourceful as well as respectful, because it is so lovely being you. Thank you so much for joining us. Bye.